When Apple doesn't tell us what the letter E stands for in the new iPhone 16e, it's kind of just up to us to guess. Some people think it stands for essential or economical or entry level, and some people, definitely not me, think the E in iPhone 16e stands for egregiously expensive. Apple's been building these slightly less expensive earmarked E-letter Frankenstein-together smartphones all the way back since the first iPhone SE in 2016. That was 9 years ago. And you might think that since Apple didn't have to design all new components that the price would be more palatable. But you forgot who we're talking about. It does come in all your dog's favorite colors though. Let's see if the iPhone 16e can hold its own on the outside. And see, of course, if Apple included the big metal battery again on the inside. One thing I am impressed with is Apple's ceramic shield, which this 16e, which is shaped like an iPhone 14, does come installed with. Working our way through most scale of hardness, we do start seeing very light scratches at a level 6 with deeper grooves at a level 7. Even though it technically ranks the same as other smartphones, it does feel different. And my personal opinion is that ceramic shield is indeed better than regular tempered glass. The scratches are less pronounced. The 12 megapixel front-facing selfie camera is off-center, but that's normal for Apple. It's protected by the same ceramic shield as the rest of the phone. We have a small metal earpiece grill, which is in the center of the phone above the notch. Making our way over to the frame rails of the iPhone 16e, instead of titanium like on the flagships, this expensive budget phone is made from aluminum. Pretty normal. You might be wondering why I have a cool band-aid on my finger. It's 'cause I got a kachowie. The iPhone 16e does feel lighter than other phones I've held recently, but that might be because we're missing the MagSafe magnets on the back. The volume buttons and action button are made from metal and are not removable. Thanks to Samsung, these are things we now have to test for. The USB-C 2.0 charging port can charge at 20 watts, and thanks to the wire mesh over the speaker grills, it is also IP68 water resistant. Remember though that water damage is still not covered under warranty. Making our way to the soft-touched etched glass back panel, which hopefully is removable, we'll find out in a second. The main 48 megapixel camera lens is scratch resistant. The biggest L on this phone though is not having multiple camera lens perspectives, like wide angle or telephoto. I personally use those all the time. The singular lens does not pop off though, which again thanks to Samsung is now something we have to test for. Zooming into the Apple logo stencil on the back, it looks like Apple absolutely nailed the placement this time around. Glad to see the attention to detail has improved from the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Flipping the phone back around to test the pixels, with portfolios as torched as they are, a little more flame won't hurt. The 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display has a 60Hz refresh rate, and let's be honest, nobody's gonna notice. It does last for about 20 seconds before going white, and this time freezing the display. But after a quick power cycle, the screen is back to working like normal, with only a slight blemish. Again, all pretty regular stuff. Even the bend test. The Apple design is unflexing, unbending, unchanging, and unaffected, despite my attempts to snap it in half. Apple has survived yet another JerryRigEverything durability test. However, while the exterior is rather bland and boring, one place that Apple has changed things up is on the inside. The iPhone 16e is supposedly more repairable than most, while utilizing the new electrically assisted battery removal procedure. I'll remove the 2 pentalobe screws at the bottom, which are very uniquely colored. Most likely a patina effect from the custom machining process. These are the fun things you notice when you're looking. One thing you also might have noticed lately is that contractual smartphone data plans have become just as egregiously expensive as smartphones themselves. But it doesn't have to be that way. I'll tell you about today's sponsor Tello as I try not to break the back glass of my iPhone. A Tello smartphone plan can start as low as $5 a month, and you can keep your same number and usually your same phone if it's unlocked. Getting reliable 4 or 5G LTE coverage without a crazy monthly price tag is refreshing. You can change your plan whenever you want, and there are no long-term commitments or contracts, just how we like it. Get unlimited text, calling, and data, 35 gigs of which are at high speed, for just $25 a month, along with free international calls to 60 different countries, and free Wi-Fi calling and hotspots. It's a crazy good plan that just sells itself. Tello even sells new smartphones on their website, which might make more sense economically than this phone we're currently taking apart. I'll leave a link for Tello down in the description, and huge thanks to Tello for having extremely reasonable prices and for sponsoring this video. With the iPhone 16e opened up, just like a book, I can start unscrewing the single tri-point screw, removing a metal bracket and disconnecting the Lego-style ribbon connectors. I do make a mistake here. See if you can figure out what it is before I figure out what it is. I'm a huge fan of the 16e's glass being removable. This solves one of the biggest gripes I've had with Apple since they started gluing the glass to the phone. Apple did remove the MagSafe magnets from the 16e, but honestly I'm not too worried about that. The wireless charging is still here, and you can always get MagSafe back by just buying a case with magnets in it, like the D-brand grip case. I'm also extremely happy with Apple's new battery removal process. I do personally need to find a better solution than a stripped-down 9-volt battery with alligator clips, but it's also super cool that you can remove the whole battery with just a 9-volt battery and some alligator clips. No prying, no alcohol, just electricity. The battery has to be connected for about a minute and a half for the adhesive to finally release. The positive electrode is connected to the tab on the battery, and the negative alligator clip is just tacked onto a screw near the charging port. And voila! The battery is free. Except for that I forgot that it was plugged in this whole time. What I thought was the battery connector earlier was actually not the battery connector. Fingers crossed that I didn't actually fry the phone. With 2 more little tri-point screws removed, we can set aside the second metal bracket and take a closer look at the electrically debonded adhesive, along with the 4005 mAh battery. Thumbs up to Apple for making this thing easy to fix. Finally, let's take a look at the single 48 megapixel rear-facing camera. I feel a little bad about this one since it's like poking out Cyclops' one good eye. Apple says this camera has something called OIS, which is optical image stabilization. It's a pretty normal hardware-based lens shifting type of compensation to get more stable images while recording videos. But Apple has also invented a type of sensor shift stabilization in some of their other phones, and I just want to see if this singular camera lens comes with that feature or not. Shredding down the camera lens housing reveals that there are indeed some magnets inside the camera, but only for the lens itself, so no sensor shift stabilization on this guy. Which is fine, would have been cool to see though. Now Cyclops has no eye for nothing. Personally, I just hope I didn't cook this phone with my 9-volt battery while it was still connected. I think if Apple wanted to absolutely crush Android and obtain that last 40% market share they don't have already, they could sell this thing at like $200 and probably still make a profit, while locking even more people into their inescapable ecosystem. But that would probably be bad for innovation in general, so I'm glad they didn't. And look at that, another teardown success. The iPhone 16e says it doesn't recognize the camera anymore, which is weird since it is sitting right here, but it probably can't see it. The easiest way to see the inside of your own phone is with one of my D-brand teardown skins, and of course if you want to save money on your monthly cell phone bill, Tello is waiting for you in the description. Thanks a ton for watching, I'll see you around.